Hello everyone, just Goran here and welcome to another Planet Zoo Quick Tricks tutorial, and today I'm briefly showing you guys how to get animals to move in your tiny habitats. If you're anything like me, you want to build realistic habitats in Planet Zoo, and that can be quite a challenge with the requirements that Planet Zoo has for its animals. Over here I have one of the smallest animals we have in the game, the 9-banded armadillo from the Grasslands pack. And in the real life, an armadillo habitat, like for the 9-banded armadillo, at least the ones I've seen are not that big. So over here I have 3 habitats, which show, first of all, the problem. We make a tiny habitat. This is one of the smallest habitats you can make in the game without it completely breaking. And as you can see over here on the traversable area, there is none. This habitat is so small that Planet Zoo refuses to calculate a traversable area for it. So over here next to it I have a slightly, it should be the same size, but I think it's actually a slightly smaller habitat, and it does actually have a traversable area. So that is already pretty interesting. How did I do that? Well, I'll show you in a second. But the problem over here is that even though this has a traversable area, the armadillo is still not moving around in it. So the benefit of having a habitat like this is that you can move the armadillo around manually by moving it like that, but it still won't move on its own accord, and it will be a little bit boring. And it almost looked like he was going to prove me wrong there and move, but no, I think he's just lying down. Yeah, so that's why we come to option 3 over here. This armadillo has a slightly larger habitat. It is able to move around. However, if not for the trick I'm about to show you, even this habitat would be too small and would not calculate a traversable area. So how did I get these armadillos to get a traversable area and to actually do things? Well, it's actually really simple. If we go to the barrier tab, you can see that even though the habitat is effectively this small, the habitat itself, according to the game's logic, is a lot bigger, and that is what forces the game to calculate the traversable area. And once it has a traversable area, I guess the animal will start to see what it wants to move around to. I'm not sure exactly why it's not moving around this one, but it is moving around this one. As you can see, it just moved. But yeah, adding this null barrier around the habitat, making the habitat technically bigger than it is what's causing the game to actually want to calculate that traversable area and make it possible for the animal to move, or in this case be moved. So how do you do that? Well, it's really simple. When you build your habitat, just add these null barriers around it and make sure to set at least one of these habitats to not be a habitat perimeter, causing the game to use the null barriers as the perimeter of this habitat. I'll actually show you right now. If we enable this as a habitat perimeter again, and this one is still enabled right now, this is the habitat, and if we check our guy, you can see he no longer has a traversable area. So making sure that that is a habitat or is not a habitat perimeter is what's causing the traversable area to be calculated there. It got recalculated because I hit Ctrl Z, by the way, and you probably didn't notice that. So, and yeah, that's how it's done. Of course, if you don't use barriers, but you just use building items, then it's just a matter of making sure your null barrier is a lot larger than the actual habitat you made. So it's that simple. That's how you get animals to walk around your tiny enclosures. Probably not very useful for franchise mode, but if you're a sandbox player like me, yeah, this is how you can make more realistic enclosures. So hope you enjoyed, hope it was useful to you, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!